Hey, welcome to Calgary Basement Sessions. I'm Ben Price.
And I'm Ben Montgomery.
And today we're talking to Jiggity James. Jiggity James is a country folk artist with roots in Guelph, Ontario, and Calgary, Alberta. His sound is a hearty blend of country, western, jazz, ragtime, and blues, drawing on influences from favorites such as Neil Young, Elvis, Frank Sinatra, and Johnny Cash.
Say, my dear, please just stay, my dear. If not, I'll pray, my dear, mi amor. Stay, my dear, so we can sway, my dear. If not, I'll pray, my dear. Honey pie, without you, angels will surely die as the sun falls from the sky, mi amor. Needless to say that my heart will turn gray. There's nothing there for me to say. Smoked out like a chimney, 'cause you know it hurts me so. As the dust starts to settle, with no intentions of letting go. But as I roam this land, every thorn bush I see brings back thoughts of you and me, mi amor. Needless to say that my heart is now gray, with nothing left for me to say. Thank you. A little rough at the beginning, but it's all right.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. That was fantastic, James. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. A little bit like flamenco-y, sort of Spanish-y in there.
It is, yeah, definitely. I was actually in Spain last year, so I was influenced by the music there and the culture, and so.
That's great. Where about in Spain were you?
I was staying outside of Barcelona, but I was there in and around that area. I played some shows in Mallorca, which is like an island just off the coast there. And I was in the south of Spain.
Nice.
Where I bought this guitar as well. Mm-hmm. And that was where Sevilla was very heavy influence flamenco and stuff like that. So yeah, it was incredible. It's a beautiful place.
It is beautiful. I've been to Barcelona, Madrid and stuff. I actually have a funny story of when I went to Barcelona. So it was like a family holiday, and there was a section of Barcelona that I've never been. I've been maybe 5 times, right? And there was a section of Barcelona which we'd never been before, so we thought we'd go explore it. And it was like a really small, like sort of confined medieval style town in Barcelona. It was really quite interesting. It had like marble marble pavements and stuff, and pillars. It was really, really cool, but it was deserted. There was no one there. So we were walking around taking pictures and stuff, and I saw this really small staircase going down to this really sort of rickety old sort of wooden door, and it had a guitar, like a guitar sign outside the door. I was like, oh, maybe this is like a guitar shop or something. And I opened it. I went down and opened the door, and it was a antique sort of guitar shop, and it was acoustic guitars and stuff, sort of like the one that you're playing right now. And there was like a Geppetto looking guy just carving out like these acoustic guitars, and then what he'd do is he'd cut down trees just outside that wee small sort of village, and then he'd take them back to his workshop and build guitars out of them. And and there was hundreds of guitars. It was beautiful.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's a amazing place. It's so historical, and it's amazing. Like I always thought, like traveling in Canada, like Quebec City is pretty much the old country as far as North America goes. Mm-hmm. And then you go to places like that, and it's like it's just a baby compared to a lot of those other places in Europe and
So. Definitely, yeah. Like the architecture in Barcelona is stunning as well. People that haven't been to Barcelona, the architecture is phenomenal.
It is amazing. The beaches and it's a great place. The food's fantastic.
Yeah. You mentioned you've been down to Mallorca. Played a few shows in Mallorca as well.
Yes, I love that's a whole nother level as far as like landscape and beauty, and it was absolutely incredible there. Yeah. I always thought like if I ever could live somewhere where it would be Mallorca for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Well, my parents have just bought a house it's actually just outside Valencia. It's their retirement home, And so many British people, because it's not sunny in the UK. They just go to Spain for a holiday or retire to Spain, So and it's always Mallorca, Valencia, Barcelona, places like that, because it's just so sunny and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. Just the mountains and the beaches and the weather, the food. It's a great place.
Yeah, the food is incredible.
Was your trip a music-based trip, or was it just a holiday that you happened to stumble across a couple of shows?
It was both.
Okay.
So I did have some shows lined up prior to going there, but I wanted. Usually, I went in the wintertime last year, so. It was just kind of like a break from the winter and go somewhere warm, plus get some gigs and stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
Fantastic. So your music video, Feel Like Dancing, and you're on top of a roof. Tell us about tell us about that music video, how that came around, and like the idea behind it.
So Ken Stead produced it, and he is good friends with Pat, the owner at the Ironwood.
Yeah.
Down there. And so we were just kind of throwing around ideas, and he's like, well, I know Pat, maybe I could chat to him and we can do something there. And he went there an hour before we were going to do a shoot inside, and Pat suggested doing it up on the roof and then doing also like another shoot downstairs. So actually, when I did that, that was the day after I got back from Europe. So I was in Spain for a couple of months, and I was in Prague. Prague was beautiful as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it was so warm there, and then I got back to Calgary, and it was freezing cold. And so when Kent sent me a message, we're going to do it on the rooftop. And I get there in the morning, and it's freezing cold, like it's raining, and I was just like, I do not want to do this. And we get in, we do the shoot inside, and then the time we get outside, of course, Calgary, weather can change with a flip of a switch, and it was sunny and beautiful, and it was actually quite hot. And so they wanted me to wear my jacket, my hat, and all that kind of stuff. And then so I'm on top of this roof sweating, usually. And also, if you notice, we're right on the edge of the roof over in Inglewood there. And it's like a very old building, obviously. And the roof, it's hard to explain, but so there's the roof, and then it kind of curves up to and they wanted me right on the edge. Whoa. So it was hard to like stable myself, and like I was just, you could see in the video, I'm kind of like my legs are a little further apart because I was just trying to like sturdy myself, because if I slipped or something, I was literally going down off the roof. So,
just like tensing your core the whole
happened.
time. Oh, come on, Steve.
And then plus, exactly, and then trying to look natural on this video and everything else. So, yeah, it was a pretty cool experience. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it's a great music video. It's a really great music video. It's a great song as well. Very
Thank
catchy.
you.
Very catchy. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that song just kind of like traveling around Calgary. Like it was. I've taken the train a lot across Canada performing.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it was. So what I would normally do is I would hop on the bus in Calgary here, take it up to Edmonton, hop on the train, and then go wherever. Usually it's either Vancouver or Toronto or places like that. But that was kind of how the premise of the song is. That's how that was written. Anyways, I started that. So
yeah. So you performed on the train, or did you just like get off at different stops and play?
No, I perform on the train.
Right. Okay. Wow.
So
that's really cool.
For like Canadian artists, they want to travel, they can get their taken care of and stuff like that. So that's really great of Via Rail to do that stuff. So I've done it tons of times. I've been out to Vancouver a couple of times.
Really?
I have family in Ontario, so I visit there quite often. So
wow,
I try to train whenever I can.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting program. I've had a couple of friends who've done the same thing, who travel and you perform, for the people who are taking the train. It's interesting. It's kind of like a granting process, from what I understand. I've never done it, but you have to apply.
Yeah, you have to apply.
And is there an audition involved, or?
No audition.
No,
but
just application.
Very lengthy application for sure. But I highly recommend it, even if you're not a musician. Just it's for entertainment. So even if you're a comedian or like even if you're an artist, I heard they had once someone who was teaching knitting classes.
Right.
They would, and very odd, but like sure, like it's by far the best way to see this country, anyways. It's, the nature and it's absolutely incredible, and the people you meet is amazing. I've met so many amazing people traveling. So
what are your a train trip to Vancouver, that's what, a day, one overnight?
Well, 30 hours. So
30
it's just
hours.
like so you'd leave in the day early in the morning, and then you would get there. You have like little stops, so you stop in Jasper. But that train trip is absolutely stunning.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You're traveling alongside of this mountain, and you look down, it's just water.
Nothing.
The scenery is just out of this world. It's incredible.
We drove through BC. Well, we drove into BC. We didn't drive all the way through, but that's one thing that, like, I noticed is like the scenery in BC is beautiful. Well, the scenery in Alberta is beautiful as well. But yeah, this, as you mentioned, like the water is like glass. It's like a mirror.
It's got that like aqua visual to it, which is amazing. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about the train. It's just like it's such a great way. It's growing up, I listened to like lots of like Johnny Cash and stuff like that, and he wrote all about being on trains, and it wasn't until I actually started experiencing that, and then I was like, yeah, I get what they're saying now. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's fantastic, man. I'd love to do that. I'd love to just jump on a train across Canada, because I've only been in the country for 8-9 months, and I've only seen Calgary and Lethbridge and parts of BC and stuff. So that's on my bucket list for sure, to go on a train across Canada.
It's expensive. Like it's mostly tourists.
Yeah.
But if you ever to get like a discount or like any chance, like, or even I know if you're a musician and you can bring a friend at a discounted price. Like my brother last year, I went out to Ontario, and then my brother wanted to come back with me, so we got a ticket, and we kind of came back together, which was really cool to experience. But it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it for sure.
Yeah, amazing, fantastic. So you host some jam nights, some open mic nights, is that right? In Calgary, yeah.
I've been doing. That's how I kind of got into the scene in Calgary, was starting open mics and stuff like that. I've been doing it for quite a while. It's a great way to like practice and network, and it's a good stepping stone for other local musicians that want to start performing, or even just test out some new material or any kind of stuff. So it's great way to bring the community together and just meet other people, meet who's around, and it's a great way to just play music, have fun.
No, I have noticed in Calgary there's a lot of open mic nights and jam nights and stuff like that. So you're right, it's a great opportunity for young musicians and musicians to network and to play with each other and stuff. Where was your open mic nights in Calgary?
So I was doing Mondays at Mug's Pub, Tuesdays at Nina, Thursdays at Good Earth in Glenmore Landing.
Oh, yeah, I know what that is. Nice.
And it was interesting because all three of the open mics were different in their own ways. So it wasn't like, if I had 3 of the same open mics a week, it would get quite stale. But these were all quite different. You'd have different musicians for each one. And it was a lot of fun doing that stuff.
Yeah. So how did you actually start open mic night? Did you just like approach these places and say, hey, I want to host an open mic night, or did you just play there regularly and then they approached you?
Well, this is kind of a funny story. A friend of mine who was living in China at the time, well, we grew up together out east, and he was living in China. He came to visit Calgary for a bit, and at that time I was living on 17th Ave. So we were just going out every night that he was here. And we ended up on 16th Ave, which is like just kind of like off 17th. But there was this entrance to go down in the Devonish building there. Right. And there's a little sushi lounge there. It was beautiful. It was so cool, very, very rustic. Yeah. It's called Fujiyama.
Nice.
And so we were going in there, we were having sushi and drinking, and there's no one else there. It was empty. And Moon, the owner, she was a really cool person, and my buddy starts speaking to her in Mandarin, and it throws people off when you have this Caucasian guy that is very fluent in Mandarin. So she was shocked, and we all hit it off. It was like such a great time, and she's like, yeah, I love this place, but it's just kind of slow. So, and it was when I first moved to the city, so this was maybe like almost 8 years ago. And we suggested, hey, I've done open mics before, and they're open to it. And we kind of started off from there. So it was, and then that's a lot of the people that I've met through this in the city was through that open mic. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool time for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. So I wasn't much of a sushi person until I actually came to Calgary, and like Benton and my girlfriend Shelby introduced me to sushi. So right. I was very much a sushi virgin before I came here, but I love it now.
It's great. If you ever go back to Vancouver, that's the place to eat sushi. Like I've had sushi like lots of places. Like I heard obviously Japan is by far the best place, but I've never experienced sushi like in Vancouver. It's next level. I was there on tour last September, so I ate as much as I could too.
So good. I lived in Vancouver for 4 years, so I lived off sushi.
Yeah, you could. And it's so fresh and so it's next level in Vancouver for sure.
My God, yeah. And you mentioned like as well the fish and chips in Vancouver.
Oh, fish and chips, yeah. Anything seafood in Vancouver is just top notch, yeah.
For sure, yeah.
I love a good salmon. Oh, salmon dish.
You can find it in Vancouver.
Yeah. we've been really getting into ramen at the moment. There's a place in Calgary, Tokyo Street Market. Oh, wow! It's unbelievable. Where is it in Calgary?
It's on Center Street and 9th. Center Street.
Okay.
I think it's Center and 9th.
Right.
It's really good.
Oh, nice. Unbelievable! The first time I went there, I said to Benton, I was like, "This is the best meal I've actually ever had."
He groaned the whole time.
Yeah.
Every slurp, struggling with his chopsticks.
So nice. If you go, get the Black Deluxe.
Black Deluxe. Okay. Mm-hmm. Good to know.
They're all good.
Yeah, they're all good, but yeah, that's pretty special. So we also had a look on your website as well. You have like a 3-track EP out. The Canadian Tuxedos. Is that the band that you're in, or is that the name of the?
It was the band I put together. Unfortunately, everyone's kind of like spread out, like doing their own things now, which is awesome. But yeah, for a brief time we got together and did kind of like a rocky, bluegrassy type music. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Hilarious name, by the way.
Yeah.
Ben didn't know what a Canadian tuxedo was.
Yeah, I had to Google it before we started.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of it is very, very Canadian, like the whole. And I find myself like wearing it every once in a while too, like accidentally. It's not on purpose. But,
it's an awesome name. Oh, also, how did you come up with the name Jiggity James? Tell us how that started.
That was when I was actually in that group. We were just spitballing names around, and that kind of like I listened to a lot of the old like bluegrass musicians, like Blind Willie McTell and Muddy Waters and like they all have like interesting kind of like catchy bluesy names, and that's kind of how that got started. Someone suggested it, and I just like, it's catchy, and it's not
very catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's very catchy.
Yeah. That's kind of how it wasn't. And then we eventually came with the Canadian Tuxedos. Mm-hmm. It was going to be Jiggity James and the Canadian Tuxedos, but we just kind of left out the whole thing, just kind of, shorten it a little bit. But yeah, that's how we came about that.
That's awesome. So tell us about the EP that you recorded. So did you record it in Calgary, or did you self-record it, or what?
Yeah, it was recorded. It was self-recorded in Calgary. Mm-hmm. We just found a cheap studio. We rented for a couple of hours. Rented all the equipment. We had the songs rehearsed and everything, so we just basically went in, set up, played the songs, tore down, and then we were out, kind of thing. And awesome. The guitarist Ben, he was the one that did all the editing and stuff like that. He did a great job with that as well. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Amazing. Was it just like sort of like live off the floor, like full band recording, or was it like
Yeah, no overdubbing or anything like that. It was just kind of like, it is what it is. That's it sounded pretty good. I like the way it kind of came out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we were happy with that.
Yeah. No, I did. It sounds fantastic. Yeah, my favorite song is Calgary for sure. I love that song.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that one, and that was another song I wrote about moving out here. Just kind of in that process of doing that, and yeah, it was a cool experience.
That's awesome.
Do you have family in Ontario and Guelph, or is it? How are you connected? Because you have a lot of different places that you have your roots in, that you say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I was born in Guelph and kind of grew up out in the sticks.
Okay.
So most of my family lives way out in the country, in like very small towns in that area.
Okay.
So that's where I grew up, and I lived in Guelph for a few years before I ended up moving out here.
Nice. And did you just move out here for music, or?
It started, well, it was originally for work, but then it slowly transitioned into music, nice. which is amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Ideal.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. So before we finish, James, can you tell people where they can find you on social media?
Well, social media. First, my website is a great place to like find out where I'm playing and videos and music and stuff like that, and that's jiggityjames.com. Mm-hmm. Whenever I put anything out there, it's usually that's the first place I do it. I'm on Instagram, Jiggity James K. I'm on Facebook. Got some Twitter. Don't do a whole lot of tweeting, but kind of like, Instagram and Facebook is kind of where I do a lot of the postings and stuff like that, where I'm playing, what's coming out. Yeah. But my website is that's my main source right there.
Yeah, amazing. Fantastic. Yeah, we've spoken to a lot of musicians, and like they have a Twitter account, but they don't really use it, So it's mainly just Facebook and Instagram,
Right. Yeah, I find it's usually when I just use it for like posting stuff, or like when I try to keep like my personal opinions out of like the social media, like that's
Twitter's for politicians.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah,
you're right.
So I find if I got political or opinionated in those type of platforms, they'll come at you full force.
Yeah.
So I just try to avoid that kind of stuff, and it's all just music. So
very wise. Awesome. So are you going to play a wee song to end the podcast?
Sure. Yeah, I can do that. Feel Like Dancing.
Nice.
We did that. Released that video a few months ago. It's gonna be a little difficult on the. Usually I play it on steel string, but, so I'll play it on this Spanish classical guitar I have. Okay. My finger's a little rough. It's still like, I know it's noon, but it's kind of, I'm a musician, so it's like morning time, like first thing for me anyway.
Yeah. No pressure.
I'm still a little rough around the edges. Even my vocals are a little tough, but yeah, we'll do this. This is Feel Like Dancing. You can listen to, right now the video is on my website or on YouTube. Mm-hmm. You can find it there. And the first song I played is called Tango to Calamity. And I'm going to do another video with that one, and hopefully maybe put out like an EP in the next, I don't know, whenever we can go back to like
normality.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So yeah, this one is Feel Like Dancing. So. On a Greyhound bus from Red Deer to Edmonton, searching for answers across the prairie skies. Then the sun peered out between the clouds above. No one knows troubles except God and I. Feel like dancing with my baby. Feel like dancing all night long. Feel like dancing with my baby. Feel like dancing all night long. You can almost taste that sweet, sweet wine. You can almost feel that summer breeze. So let's drift away, sail across the sea to a brighter place we call home. Feel like dancing with my baby. Feel like dancing all night long. Feel like dancing with my baby. Feel like dancing all night long. Watch out. All right. Off to the ball town on this beat up train. Even the click of the tracks can't ease this pain away. All the gigs out there are only nickels and dimes. Never live loving just what I need. Feel like dancing with my baby. Feel like dancing all night long. Feel like dancing, oh, with my baby. Feel like dancing all night long. Feel like dancing all night long.
Thank you for tuning in to Calgary Basement Sessions.
If you like the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. That really helps us out.
And please follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram at YYC Basement Sessions.